Or look at the camera.
Okay.
Up to you. All right, here we go. What's going on, guys? It is Madman Plant. We are back with another great podcast. We've been chilling here at the Heritage Arts and Tattoo Festival at the Salem Civic Convention Center. And last time I was here, like I said, I shot the Cagezilla match that was here right there with the giant cage in the ring in 2015. As we're always talking about mental health and clarity, I got the U.S. Army involved, and I got Staff Sergeant Banks with us. I wanted to make sure I got the title right before I said the name.
Nope, you got it right.
All right. And what's really cool is we're going to talk a little bit about mental health in the military, especially in today's military. It may be different a little bit than what I've seen because I was never in the military, but just on TV and the gist that you get. So for me, mental health is very big because it allows you as a person to grow. It allows you to develop. It also allows you to give the backbone so you can give your all. And in the Army, it's about being your best.
It's definitely about being your best, but the Army takes mental health very seriously. So depression, anxiety, PTSD, anything like that, the Army looks into it, dives into it, treats people, psychologists, counseling, everything is in the Army. And the thing is, you know, the stigma with the military, with how it used to be, is completely changed. You can be in and be on antidepressants, anxiety meds, anything that you need as far as seeing a psychiatrist, a counselor, anything like that, anger management even. And then there's major support systems in place that allow us as service members to help take care of other service members, especially if someone is feeling down, depressed, suicidal, whatever. We have our own rules that require us to stay with that person, ensure that they are okay, make sure that nothing happens to them, and get them taken care of so they can seek out and get the help that they need.
Now, with that, why would you say over the years, the military is really focused on really the mental health factor? Because you see, like in the movies, like Full Metal Jacket would be a great example of how you think that it would be, where people are just cussing at you and yelling at you, and it's all about breaking you down and building you back up to this, you know, this soldier, right?
Yeah.
But in today's world, from the outside looking in, it seems like, yes, that is the point, that they want to rebuild you as a great soldier, but they also need you to be okay here, because how could you be okay in the battlefield?
So basically what you're kind of talking about is like basic training and stuff like that. And so with basic training, yes, you are correct. You will get cussed at, you will get yelled at, you'll get broken down a little bit, but not to the point to where it was like in Full Metal Jacket. Nobody's pushing people to the point that nobody wants anybody to get hurt or feel suicidal or have any problems like that. Now, when it comes to the battlefield and all that stuff, especially with deployments and so on and so forth, everything we have here, we have overseas with us. So medical providers, everything like that. I mean, not necessarily proud of it, but whenever I went to Afghanistan, I seeked help for anger management, and I went and seen a counselor, spoke to him while I was deployed and everything like that, got the help that I needed while I was deployed. And whenever I came back, I mean, right now I see a psychologist. So,
go Army!
So continuous mental care is extremely important anymore, just because the government, the Army, everyone has realized that people do suffer from stuff, and not everyone is just impervious to everything.
Now, you said anger. Why overseas would you say that anger would be the number one thing that you experience? Because see, with my own therapist, you know, and maybe you've talked about this in the military or with your therapist too, is, you know, anger is almost like an iceberg. So anger is the tip of what's really going on. And then below, it's vast. You know, it's the anxiety, it's the imposter syndrome, it's the self-doubt, it's the feeling hopeless and feeling like you're you know, on the borderline, you know.
So I wouldn't necessarily say, I can't speak for everybody. That is the number one thing. I was speaking for myself specifically. When you're on a combat deployment, which right now the United States Army is not in any combat deployments. We do deployments, but none of them are combat because we're currently not at war with anybody. But on deployment, you are with the same dudes or females, whoever, every single day, 365, well, not 365 days, but for however long your deployment is. So average deployments now are between 6 and 9 months, and you're with those people day in and day out every single day. And tensions do get high, especially, you know, when it's small things irritate you, so on and so forth. And I think that's where, for me personally, I had a heightened level irritation and anger with other people. So
Is it tied to the fact that maybe psychologically in the mind, you also feel like you have no real control? You're in an environment where you're forced to be there. You don't know the land. You have people that want to kill you. You got, orders that maybe you agree or don't agree with that you have to serve. And I feel on the outside looking in, maybe that uncertainty, that note that you're in control, but you're not in control.
so I think for me, it's not necessarily that specifically. I
Okay.
think it's more so being away from the ones that you love, and just kind of not being connected with the people that you want to be with. Me personally, whenever I was overseas, I loved it. The people there, believe it or not, there are bad guys, just like there are everywhere in the world, even in America. There are people who are
Yep.
bad. There are some very, very nice people, who care nothing but have nothing but love for us. So, I mean, I've good experiences, bad experiences, but a majority of the populace that I seen while I was over there loved us. So, I mean, plus the food is phenomenal over there. So,
Now, with that being said, I do believe that even in I guess Saving Private Ryan, and then also in Full Metal Jacket, there are signs of peace in deployment or in a battlefield where things come together. What is that like? Like, how is that connection with, I guess, the foreigners? Like, how are you able to brace that connection where you can feel emotion together, like happiness or camaraderie?
okay, so you're kind of speaking on the relationship with the locals.
Yeah, so you said that it was a really great time.
Yeah, so for a good portion of these people, they look at us and see us, and think that we're definitely there to help them, that we're saving them, that and there's a lot of them are really appreciative of us just being there, because they know that our presence there most of the time doesn't necessarily mean death and destruction. It just means, hey, help us here. So I think that that's one of the things where a lot, I mean, like Afghanistan, like I was talking about, a lot of those locals seen us as help, not necessarily, oh, they're here to just destroy stuff,
Yeah, do like a whole like Call of Duty, blow up all the buildings.
Yeah, it's not like that.
I do see where like for instance, like law enforcement. One of the so there's different levels of enforcement, right? So the lights and the badge and the uniform, right? That's a level of enforcement. The simple fact that when the cop, like let's say that there's a rowdy event, the cops show up, it starts to get a little bit calmer because the law is in town.
Yeah.
And it kind of seems like for there too is you, just because the military is not there doesn't mean it's war. It also is a sign of enforcement. The colors, the green, the bases and everything is kind of like that. Well, we're here, so I guess if you wanted to attack, I mean, we could attack too.
Yeah.
And it's like a little bit of a deterrent,
Yeah,
just from
absolutely.
presence. Not actually enforcing anything, not actually putting guns in people's faces.
Yeah, and that's another thing, especially when you're speaking about like law enforcement or military or
Yeah.
anything like that. Presence is a big thing. Just people just being there, especially being authority figures, just speaks dividends, especially whenever it comes to conflicts and stuff like that. Even not even necessarily violent conflicts, just even arguments.
Has there been a time where you've been on deployment where you feel like you kind of found like your purpose and why you're even here in the first place? Like a moment of like just like peace and tranquility, just knowing that you are serving your higher purpose of protecting others, and really putting yourself on the line.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
What does that feel like?
So, I mean, I think that my moment kind of like that was I think it was after my first mission while I was over there, or maybe it's my second one. It was just like the overall camaraderie that I felt with all the guys in my squad. We loaded up onto a UH-60, which is a Black Hawk helicopter,
Oh, very cool.
and we're flying from CAF to, I think it was Kalat or someplace like that. And just the overall feeling, we were making jokes, having a good time. And, that's when I realized that not only am I, with people who think similar to that I do, but also that we're doing and serving a greater purpose. And, we didn't necessarily go over there to destroy and all that other crazy stuff, but just to know that we were there to help others and to do things that were beneficial, because some of those people over there don't have the best ways of life, living is what I mean.
Describe that a little bit.
So what the news doesn't really cover or talk about, especially when we're talking about like Afghanistan and stuff like that, is the Taliban in particular are not really the government. So basically their concept and laws and logic on stuff are to control certain individuals. And so nobody really wants to be completely controlled in their life. And I think that our presence there allowed some people to live a little bit better without being controlled by tyrannical individuals, if that makes any sense.
Now, would you say that the majority of people there support the idea of democracy and freedom versus what they're being looked at? Or do you still see people who are institutionalized in a way where they believe in the God and what they're serving, and this is all for like Allah or whatever it might be?
So it's definitely like that. I think that anywhere where you look at in the world, it's like that. Older generations are like that, and the younger people aren't. I just can't really speak too much about that portion of it.
Fair enough.
Because not because I can't talk about it or nothing like that. It's just I haven't really had too much experience speaking to like Afghan elders or anything like that. But there are plenty of places all over the world that a lot of older individuals are just stuck in their way, and that's how it's always been, and that's how they want it to be. And then as generations move on, just like in America here, things change.
Well, I almost tie it together like domestic abuse. When you're in domestic abuse relationships, there's things called trauma bonding, where you're bonding with the abuser because afraid of rejection or being lost. And I almost wonder sometimes with the people, especially in the newer generations where technology and things exist, where information is a little bit more free, if people, if they want better, but they live in the same kind of confines where they're ashamed, they're afraid they'll be outcasted by their family, they'll be afraid that they'll be physically, hurt or put to death, and in a form where it's like they see you guys and what you represent, but they're just so scared on the inside to accept that, to pursue that.
I think what you're getting at is they're scared of like ramifications, or if we're not always there, or what's going to happen to them afterwards.
Yeah, like what happens if you were to leave?
Yeah.
What does that make you feel as a person? I feel like there's just got to be a lot of power knowing that sometimes you are the difference between a safe night versus a village where it's just bloodshed by morning.
Honestly, I don't really think about any of that.
Really?
To be honest with you. I mean, so me personally, I grew up with my grandparents.
Okay.
All I've ever wanted to do is just make them proud, to be honest with you. I don't really have any crazy like ego drive or nothing like that. I've always wanted to do great things. I always knew that I wanted to serve my country. I was never really the most intelligent person in school. So, and the Army has a lot of intelligent people, but I personally had no desire to go to college. I just couldn't see myself working a desk job or anything like that.
Yeah.
So at the age of 17, I signed a straight airborne infantry contract. Did that for the first 3 years. Jumped out of planes for 3 years, moved to Fort Campbell, and then was in a air assault infantry unit there for 3 years before I came out here to be a recruiter.
That's awesome.
So, I've never really had any like crazy power drive or anything like that. And I'm not saying that you're saying specifically that. I think that anybody could do this job, and anybody definitely can. And I think that just to be proud of the country that we live in and want to support it, I think is enough of a drive for me. Plus, on top of that, I just want to make my friends and family proud.
Well, I think you already do that, and I think so too. And more, what I was getting for is like, for instance, like it's not a big deal, but if I see somebody on the side of the street and we're near a fast food place, I'll tell them to go across the street and wait for me inside, and then I'll come inside and I'll buy them food.
Yep.
And I just did that the other day, and I don't tell anybody about it. I don't post about it, but in my heart, it's just like I feel this sense of pride that's like, you know what? I made sure that guy didn't leave hungry today.
Yeah, no, I actually, so I'm not one to, I hope this doesn't make me sound too bad. I'm not one to really give people on the street money. I like getting them food or water.
That's right.
And it's not, and I just don't, it's not that, I just don't want them to do bad things with the money. Make
fair
decisions.
enough, yeah.
And I just, I do that sometimes. I'll stop by, go to Burger King, grab some water, whatever. But yeah, no, I agree completely. I think that it's great to help out, especially here in Roanoke with the mission that's downtown. We have a pretty large homeless population here, so it's nice to take care of some of those people because some of them are just down on luck.
Yeah. Well, I think, and that's the thing. That's why mindset, empowerment, being around the right people, giving something that has purpose and meaning, you know. And I think I was never in the military, but I just feel like you get that, you know, through the rank, through the opportunities. I mean, the one thing great about the military from my grandfather, who is actually 104 right now, was World War II. He was a logistics ship,
Okay.
and they were one of the first ships. They were supply ship, and they were one of the first ships to land in Hiroshima after the bomb went off. So he saw all the destruction, but just being able to see the world in a way that other people will never. Because one thing that I hate and I cannot stand is when people are like, screw this country, anarchy, screw the police, all this stuff. And it's like, you don't understand. See, I come from Romania. So I was in an orphanage. I was put there by my two parents. I was adopted by an American family, my mom and dad, who couldn't have their own kids. But you don't understand how some people live life.
Yeah, no,
And
I
to
agree.
live in a life where each day you don't know whether you're going to live or die by the own people that you live life with, you know, like you would not want anarchy. You would not want total chaos and destruction. I'm sure you've seen that firsthand. And that's why, you know, even whether you love America or you hate America, being here, you are in a very safe place, I feel like,
No,
compared to most of the world.
no, I definitely agree, and I think that yes, there are bad individuals out there, both as civilians, law enforcement, military, so on and so forth. You see it all over the place. There are bad people,
Yep.
but for every one bad person, there's probably at least 5 to 10 good people that are just trying to make everyone's lives better. And I think that obviously the people who do bad things should get focused on, and those people shouldn't be doing the things that they're doing. But I think that everybody shouldn't be generalized.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to let you go because we're at our time mark. What I would love to do is follow up with you and maybe get you on a 2 hour session, get some more information about you, and dive more into the mental health. This is really great because you're the first active duty U.S. soldier we've had on our podcast. And it's just really cool because as we go forward, we're bringing in just so many different professions, doctors, therapists, that really just can understand and give clarity to mental health. And whether, you know, you're just a civilian or a soldier or just somebody watching this show, the power that we have in ourselves to do whatever we want is so vast. And if we can just tap into it, who knows what happens.
No, I agree.
Great. Well, guys, we got more podcasts coming your way. Thank you so much, Staff Sergeant Banks,
Yep.
for your time.
Appreciate it.
Guys, we will see you soon. Have a fun one.